Hello, and welcome to a special end of year edition of The Chosen Scoop. This is our Roundup Scoop. I'm Jim Luff, and joining me today is Brian Goudie, the CEO of Aurora Payments. Welcome to the Scoop, Brian.
Thanks, Jim. Great to be with you this morning.
Well, to say that we've had a whirlwind year is probably an understatement. 2022 has been an unprecedented year of growth for our family of companies, and we've acquired additional companies, and we were acquired by another company. So let's dive in, Brian. We began our year with the announcement that we had been acquired by Corsair. Can you describe that relationship and what it's done for us during the year of 2022?
Yeah, absolutely, Jim. And I go back to your comment about 2022 has been a whirlwind year. I feel like every year is a whirlwind year. I mean, 2 years ago, we got COVID, right? In the payments industry, in any industry, that's a crazy year. Last year, we had the opportunity. I think, I don't know if folks know this, but Goldman Sachs is our senior lender. And at the time, we were backed by Prudential Capital. And we really set out in the middle of the year, we had an opportunity to refinance the debt of the company. And that's sort of what spurred on what ultimately became a transaction where Corsair Capital invested in Aurora and became a control partner. I won't get into all the gory details of that transaction, but we started in July looking to refinance. I met the Corsair. Corsair wasn't really in scope. There was about 23 other entities. We had hired an investment banker, and there was 23 other entities that we were looking at. And we were actually pretty far down the road with another entity. And I was introduced to Corsair Capital. Corsair Capital had a lot of previous fintech and still do. They have several investments in fintech businesses, restaurant software, IDIQ, a company that's a lot like LifeLock, company called Trevi Pay that's in B2B fintech payments, and of course Aurora now. But when I met them, the best way I can describe it is, in my heart, I was like, this is the right group to transform the company. And we needed that. We wanted to make a huge investment in technology, acquisitions, and things to really transform the company. So we needed a pure equity partner to do that. As part of that transaction, I was glad that Goldman Sachs actually upped their position. It showed a show of confidence in Aurora. They know us quite a bit from 7 years of investment with us. So the fact that they wanted to re-up, I love that. So we did that. Now, as I say to everybody, the best analogy I can give you is this is like a courtship. A guy's dating a girl or a girl's dating a guy, they get married, and after the marriage, it's like the lady's going, who is that guy? This is not the guy that I was dating, right? So that was my fear. That not particular to Corsair, but frankly, any private equity firm that we, end up doing business with, my fear would have been something like, oh, it wasn't what it was meant, set out to be. The reality is, 11 months into it, I'm thrilled at the partner we have. They are in the business. They help us in so many ways, just from personnel to acquisitions, strategy, connections they have. It's been a phenomenal choice. So 11 months into it, I couldn't be more thrilled with the decision we made, and it's going to help the Aurora Payments family. It already has and will continue as we look out the next few years.
I have to say that, the acquisition of Aurora by Corsair happened on my second day of employment. And as a new employee, when you start your job out and then you find out that your company's been acquired by another company and you're in your second day on the job, it was alarming, to say the least, but I've never looked back. Let's move on to, we were acquired, but we also acquired two other entities during the past year. And the first one, let's talk about One Payment and our new presence in the Latino business community, and specifically the Miami area. What can you share about One Payment?
Yeah, I think to your point, we'll talk about the software acquisition, but part of our strategy is to grow through acquisition. And where the economy's at right now and valuations in fintech companies, if anybody follows that kind of thing, fintech companies have been hammered in terms of valuation. So I actually think that'll create a great opportunity over the next 12 to 18 months to maybe, continue to do acquisitions at a more favorable cost structure than maybe what it's been in fintech the last probably 5 years. But one payment, some people know I ran North American acquiring, pretty much every division of First Data at my time there. And one of them was third-party channels, so independent sales organizations, agents. And the advantage I have there is I kind of know who's legit. I always joke, like, if you look at everybody's website, everybody's great. It's what's behind the website that you find out whether they're really as good as they say they are. Well, I don't have to do that vetting with many of these folks. So Louis Raquejo, George Calzadilla, who were the founders of One Payment, I've known these guys since 2008. They were always top performers. We had presidents clubs for our top 10. These guys were top 1 or 2 in year new revenue. You mentioned they're in Miami. It gives us a Miami real estate location with about 20 employees. So we've been very West Coast centric. We now have an operation down in Miami. And they do play a lot in the Latin markets. So they, by their descent, mostly everybody speaks Spanish in that office. But it does give us an inroad from a distribution perspective to a market that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise reached, and gives us East Coast presence, as I said. And they understand third-party channel because that's what their pedigree is. So we actually are going to look to make an announcement as we go out into 2023 to have Louis Raquejo, the founder of One Payment, take on a more active role in our third-party partner and ISO program. Who better to do that? He's lived it in his own life. So more to come on that.
We also acquired a software company, and I know that we're in the process of rebranding it. Can you share what we acquired and what the future of that product might look like?
Yeah, and this is, Jim, this is a big strategy for the company. If I think back to the last 10 years in payments, what has been one of the more dramatic changes that I've seen, it would be, what we call integrated payments, right? It's a software vendor that might be in pet care or transportation or in health and beauty, where that software that sort of ran that health and beauty shop and the payment platform weren't always connected. But in the last 10 years, we've seen more integration work where you're trying to connect the CRM or the operations software for a particular vertical market to a payment platform and make them feel like one. That is a key strategy for us. We had an opportunity in this particular case to buy a company that I'll announce here, I guess, publicly for the first time, because I believe the website rebrand will be done in the next, let's say by the holiday, by New Year. The company will be called NailSoft. One of the reasons we've been somewhat silent about it, it's not called NailSoft today, but we wanted to do the rebrand, get the website up so that people can get familiar with the term NailSoft. What NailSoft is it is a scheduler software in the health and beauty industry. So think things like Mind and Body, Booker would be some good comps. The difference in us and a Booker, NailSoft and a Booker, is we're specifically going after the nail industry. The nail industry is dominated by the Vietnamese culture. Depending on what study you look at, 80 to 90% Vietnamese owned. So we're not trying to be all things to everybody when it comes to scheduler. We are trying to solve what ails nail salon owners' pain. And as we build out our payment platform, integrate the two into one platform. Very excited about it. It's the first time, we'll lead with software that we own. We lead with software for other companies, but this will be the first time we lead with software that we truly own.
So this is, obviously an acquisition that some people looking at us might think is a little odd for a credit card processing company to own a software that handles nail salons. So obviously, we're expanding into different areas, and I think it's a brilliant thought process. Speaking of products, we added a product manager and a chief product officer during the year. What are their respective duties of the company and how they play into this new product development?
Yeah, so I think there's an old name for some, and there's a new name for all. And that's Shaheen Jerome was brought on as chief product officer, and Derek Maxwell, who some folks, watching this might know who's our Chief Technology Officer. Strategically, I mentioned vertical markets that we want to go after. We're not going to stop at nil. There's 4 or 5 markets we've already earmarked that we're doing voice of customer. You were involved, Jim, with a voice of customer study we did with funeral directors. That's an interesting vertical market to us, right? And there are others. So the mandate, Derek runs our development team in Ukraine and Poland and Latin America. Shaheen is on the product side. So as we think about vertical markets, Shaheen will be at the forefront of that. Our big investment next year is going to be to build what it might not resonate with everybody out there, but it's called an omni-commerce payment platform. And what that means is today we own a payment gateway that's for card not present business. That's easier to build. You don't have to deal with the complexities of a card, EMV, certifications, tokenization of a card that got dipped once, and then you hold the card number in a tokenized vault. There's just more complexity in a card present environment. But we are endeavoring, and Shaheen and Derek are at the forefront of this, that by the end of next year, we will own our own proprietary payment platform. Why is that important? It's important because the nail salon example, or transportation, or funeral, there's very nuanced things a funeral director wants that a nail salon owner doesn't want. There's things a nail salon owner wants that a funeral director doesn't need, or a transportation owner. When we own our own payment platform, we'll be the ones doing the sprints, iterating that platform, and we'll be able to get into niche things that solve for, particular vertical markets. So that's why, of everything, that's the most important thing, is building that gateway out, Derek and Shaheen. But it's also like figuring out what are the things we're not going to build and finding the best third-party product partner for those things and executing a go-to-market strategy on that. We can't build everything.
And looking back throughout the year, you added several chief positions: a chief operating officer, a chief legal officer, and a senior operations director. It's clear you're building an infrastructure to support the growth of something really big. Would that be a fair characterization?
Without a doubt. I mean, the chief legal officer was a selfish move on my part because the law firm of Goudie and Goudie was getting stretched thin. I say that half jokingly, but I feel like I was a lawyer. We hired LJ Williams, who comes to us from the gaming industry, to be in-house counsel. As you scale to the size we are, doing mergers and acquisitions, dealing with equity and debt partners, there's a lot of legal things that go on. So having him on board is important. You mentioned Jim Bauer, COO. So one of the things that we, admittedly, I want a lot of focus on is time to resolution for tickets. Merchant calls in, has a challenge. We got to get that done. Like whatever's addressable. I get every ticket's not addressable to be solved for in 24 hours, 48 hours, same day. But the ones that are have to get done. And I will admittedly say, I feel like things have gotten lost a little bit in our ticketing system. The other thing where operations needs to be a great partner to sales is, I say, you've heard me say, everybody's in sales in our company. Every call that comes in is an opportunity to you do this, Jim. You step in many times and you may be acting as an operations person, but you understand the goal is to get to resolution. Technically, that's a sales call in a weird way, but you get the point. We also in operations cannot stand between our partners bringing an opportunity to us and time to revenue. So the account has got to get approved quickly. We got to board it, and we've got to create the file so that partner can go out and install a merchant, let's say, in a short compressed period of time. So time to revenue and operational excellence are really Jim Bauer's mandates here to make us a world-class organization.
Sounds great. As we continue to grow, I want to point out, and you already know this, we are bursting at the seams in the Tempe office with no more desk space, no more storage space. Can you share any plans about the Tempe office for 2023 and our new office in Vegas, for that matter?
Yeah. So if we look at some statistics, today we process 20% more volume than we did on January 1st. We have 25% more merchants in our portfolio than we had on January 1st. Obviously, there's growth. There's investment, again, in operations, technology folks. Sales will be a heavy investment this year. We open up the Las Vegas office. We have 16,000 square feet here. In Tempe, we have pretty close to that, between 10, 15,000 square feet. I get the point that, Tempe is boosting at the seams right now. We'll continue to scale. We like Arizona. We like Vegas. Miami, I mentioned, we now have 20 employees down there. And we have a satellite office in Atlanta, Georgia, that's connected to Nailsoft. So I think you'll see, from a real estate perspective, we'll continue to add, subtract, whatever makes the most sense for the company. That will happen. But when you're an acquisitive company like we are, frankly, the reason we're in Arizona was acquisition. The reason we were in California was acquisition. Vegas is the first place where we went more strategically. You don't see it, but if I look out this way 1.2 miles, I'm staring at Mandalay Bay and the Raider football stadium out my office. There's so much business that goes on in that strip annually. We all know it, whether that's trade shows, vertical shows. The idea here was to get to a state where we felt like we could acquire talent, but also from a sales, business development, and relationship management, be close to that strip where there's 19,000 shows, or I think I saw that stat, something like 20,000 shows a year there, many of which we attend. But yeah, you'll continue to see us from a real estate perspective, add, subtract as you acquire companies. That's just a natural thing that'll happen.
Well, I definitely love myself that we have an office in Vegas now, because as you know, I attend a lot of conventions, and I love Vegas, but I spend far too much time there. So having an office there, I probably won't have to visit Vegas as often. But yeah, every convention that I work in Vegas at a major hotel has other conventions going on at the same time. So I think that was a good move. We are running out of time. So as we wrap up, can you share with us any specific goals or plans for 2023?
I guess I'll try to reiterate and summarize a lot of what I said, Jim. Number one, operational efficiency. We have great clients that have helped make this company what it is today. I just can't stomach looking at a ticket that's been out there for 4 days, 5 days, where I feel like it's addressable. I know Jim and Dennis Mackel, who we've hired at the VP level in Arizona, share that view. It's how do we make our data and our software make us much more efficient? Sometimes you just got to throw troops at the battle because you're just outnumbered. I don't know if that's the case. We will, and we have. But for me, if I think about who we are again at the end of the year, we have great operational efficiency for our partners and our merchants. Time to revenue. We're building a system right now that will auto board 65% of what is sent to us. I'm sorry, auto approve 65% of what's sent to us, and then auto board it to TSYS to where we'll have a live mid in 18 to 20 minutes. That's a goal. Wow. That's near term by January of this year. That's not long term. Those are a couple goals. The proprietary technology build of our payment platform will be huge for us. That's got a September date on it right now. I don't want that to creep. That is massively important. And again, acquisitions, whether it's the right distribution play or the right technology, I think the latter will be our emphasis, is to go buy software, in particular vertical markets, where we think we can make a difference when we embed our payment platform. That would be a big goal of the company. And just, sort of diversifying distribution. We have a great agent partner program, ISVs. We have an inside sales team that supports our association partners. Continuing to look to diversify distribution will be a goal of the company as well.
Well, we are out of time for this episode of The Chosen Scoop. I've been speaking to Brian Goudie, Chief Executive Officer of Aurora Payments and our family of companies. Hey, we appreciate you taking the time to drop by today, Brian. I know you're very busy, and we appreciate the update. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to watch future episodes of The Chosen Scoop. And if you're not processing credit cards with us today and you're looking for great rates and great service, 2023 is a great time to join us. Send us an email at hello@risewithaurora.com. On behalf of Brian and myself, we wish you a happy and prosperous 2023. Stay safe and healthy. Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks all.